Hey, thanks so much for tuning in to the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth. Today is Soak It Up Saturday, a day that we want you to dive into His Word. Obviously, we want you to do that every single day, but a day that we encourage you to read it, meditate on it, memorize it, maybe read it through a few different times, maybe change your translations a little bit. Really soak it up. Allow the Word of God to read you, not just you reading the Word of God, having it apply to your life. Where you're at today. And we're talking about defining moments all week long, and we're going to talk about Job today. And so I'm going to start in chapter 1 in the middle. In the beginning, it talks about how this man, Job, was an upright, blameless guy. And then the angels came and met with the Lord, and Satan was with them. And he says, "Hey, have you ever considered Job? He's a very upright person." And this is how Satan responds to verse 8 when he says, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He's blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil." Verse 9 says, "Does Job fear God for nothing?" Satan replied, "Have you not put a hedge around him and his household, everything that he has? You have blessed the work of his hands so that his flocks and herds have spread throughout the land. But now stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to his face." And so Satan's like, "Hey, you've blessed him. Obviously, he will, worship you. He will honor you." The Lord said to Satan, "Very well, then, everything he has is in your power on the man himself, but do not lay a finger." Then Satan went out of the presence of the Lord. Verse 13, one day when Job's sons were feasting and drinking wine at the oldest brother's house, a messenger came to Job and said, "The oxen were plowing, the donkeys were grazing nearby, and the Sabeans attacked and made off with them. They put the servants to the sword, and I'm the only one to escape to tell you." So basically now Job lost all of his oxen, all of the things that he had to his possession there. While he was still speaking in verse 16, another messenger came and said, "The fire of God came from the heavens and burned up all the sheep and all the servants, and I'm the only one to escape." And so now it's not only the donkeys and the oxen, now it's the sheep as well. And while he was still speaking, another messenger came and said, "The Chaldeans formed 3 raiding parties and swept down and on your camels and made off with them. They put the servants to the sword, and I'm the only one to escape." So basically all of his livestock, everything that he owned, and that was really considered real estate, the land and the animals that he had, because that was so precious to somebody at that age. While he was still speaking, yet another messenger came and said, "Your sons and daughters were feasting and drinking wine at the oldest brother's house, and when suddenly a mighty wind swept in from the desert and struck the 4 corners of the house, that it collapsed on them, and they are all dead. And I'm the only one who escaped to tell you." At this, now could you imagine now that news that you basically lost everything? You lost your income, you lost everything that you owned, and not only that, not only did you lose your career, not only did you lose anything else, you lost your sons and your daughters. They died all in the same day at the same place. In verse 20, I can imagine this is what he says. "Job got up and tore his robe and shaved his head. Then he fell down in worship and said, 'Naked I come from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised.'" In all of this, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing. What a defining moment with Job here. I mean, that really shows that our circumstances aren't defined by our faith, but we can overcome our circumstances and choose to have faith, choose to honor God despite our circumstances. For Job, he lost, you could say, everything, and yet he chose to worship God. What a defining moment for Job. I don't know what you're going through today. I don't know what circumstance, what news you got, or what news you got this year. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe you lost a loved one. Maybe you got a health scare. I don't know what news you got or what you're dealing with medically, physically, relationally, financially. But I do know this. It's not necessarily what happens to us, what circumstances that we face. It's really how we respond to them. Let's choose, as for Soak It Up Saturday, choose to do a study on Job and how he responded in light of in light of losing everything. And let that be an encouragement to us that, we can choose to worship God despite our circumstances. I hope that encourages you today, that we serve a God that is He loves us so much. He cares about us. And He's not putting circumstances in your way so that it's a stumbling block away from Him. He is drawing Himself to us all the time. What are we choosing, though? Are we choosing to go after Him? Are we choosing to worship Him? I want to encourage you to do that today. Hey, I want to thank you so much for joining us all week for these daily doses. Tomorrow, I want to encourage you to join us live in person at 10:15 as we start a brand new series called The 12. We're going to be going through the 12 disciples. What does it mean to be a follower of Christ? What did it mean to walk and talk with Jesus? And how does that apply to our lives today? I'm excited. I want to encourage you to come and join us right here in Main Street in Shrewsbury. Otherwise, join us on our Facebook and YouTube at 10:15. And on Monday, it'll be another daily dose for spiritual growth.